Hello folks, today I will talk about how you can add different types of interfaces on any property. So before moving forward, firstly you must know what is interfaces in Typescript. So what is the role of interface? So interface and classes are basically interface are used for type checking. So you can add on any property. So to generate an interface, you just need to run the command and you generate interface and whatever the interface name you want to provide, and you can add the interface and you can provide the properties, whatever properties you want to include according to your requirement. So there are different types of interfaces we can define in TypeScript. So first is partial and required, pick, omit, recalled, and so these are various types of interface that you can define on any property. So let me show you one by one how you can use this in your project. So first is the partial. First, normal. Let me show you the normal interface. Means how interfaces are defined. So this is the normal interface where we have interface and interface name and what are property you want to stick with your data. So this is a property, and if I show you here, if you want to use this property, then you can see here like is data one and this property, and if you define, if you are going to define the data to this property, then it must, then in this property these two things must be available. So with the property, what it needs, as you can see on the error, it needs the author and author link. So whatever the interface it will define, and means you must need to provide the proper data also. This is the role of interface. So so for the type check, so if I add this both the data, then you can see here the error is resolved. So same with whatever the interface you will define. So we also need to define the data of this property also. So in the TypeScript means it provides more capability to manipulate those interfaces. So what is first interface? First is the partial. The partial, as the name defined, means with the partial means these are the optional properties. Means you can make the properties of this interface optional. So it make a property and object optional. It could help in many cases, like when you are working with that with the data that a component would render, but you know the data may not fetch at moment of mounting. So it is preferable to make the partial interface of the get API and to make properties optional. So as you can see here, means here we have added the required, but if we add the partial on this interface, then it will not show any error. So let me show you some example of partial interface. Suppose here, let me create some simple data here. Data 7, and on this what we have, on this we have this product author, and we can make this partial. As you are going to define the data of this particular key, then it will not show any error. Why? Because we have added the partial and these are the optional properties, but in the first one we have not created the optional properties, so that is why it will work like that. So here what we have defined, here we have defined this partial here this is a different type. Here we have this object, and in the object we have two properties, product and cart content, and in cart content we have defined the different interface. So let's move to the next interface, what we have. So currently with the partial you can make the properties object optional. Next is required. Required is the opposite of partial. It introduced in TypeScript version 2.8. It makes all properties of described object required. So let me show you the example of this required. So as you can see here, I've defined this required on this interface. So here, if you see this, so it has this name, description, ingredients. So these all are the required fields. So you need to define all those data. So as you can see here on the data 4, it will show error because all those fields are required here is missing on the following properties, so you must need to define all those properties here. So this is a second type kind of interface we can say. Next is the pick helps you to use an already defined interface but take those keys from the object that you need. So with that we only create sometimes on the requirement, on the basis of requirement, we need some keys, we want to reuse some interface, so with the pick you can do that. So as you can see here, we have defined interface like pick, and this is the interface name. So this, what is the product for? And then in this product for, what we have in this product for, we have all these properties. And suppose in some case we do not want to use some property, we just want ID and author. So in that case, we can pick this ID and author, and we can create a new interface, and we can define only those properties. So here on the data file we have this pick emitter. So if I open this, so as you can see here, we have defined only ID and author. If we remove this ID and author, then it will show error because we have not picked those two properties that we needed, that we defined on the product 2. So as you can see here this is the syntax for the pick. Now next is omit type. With omit, which is not predefined in the TypeScript library, but it is easy to define with the pick and exclude keyword. It excludes the properties that you do not want to take from the interface. So let me show you the example of this omit. Means in the TypeScript it is not already defined. You need to create the omit type. So here we have created this omit type, and here we are removing this name and description properties. Means we are deleting these properties, and other all are used. So if we see the example of this. So if I show the example of, means we have removed those two properties, and here it will show only those four properties: ID, author, price, and author link, and it has removed both properties that we defined there. And so as you can see here, we have defined the omit, and we have defined the interface name, and whatever properties we want to remove, so we have removed that, like that. And next is record. This is the last, and so these five are basic. So the most important correct way is to use record type. So sometimes we need to define this kind of interface data, so we can define like that also. So go to the record example now. So as you can see here in the record, what we have in the record, in the first argument we have defined number, then we have defined this object. So this is means if you enable the restricted typing, so sometimes you need this kind of interfaces. So in that case you can define like that. So as you can see here, first is the number that we defined, and another is an object that we have defined, state, message translation key, and is reminder. So is reminder is optional because it has on the question mark on it, so it is optional property. So this is a record example. So let's move to the next example. So here we have defined this record string. So it has defined both the strings here. So these all are the five basic types of interfaces that we can define the TypeScript. Thanks for watching.